This is going to be another one of my video alerts, and this is not specific to Mercedes-Benz. This is specific to any car, any year, and it has to do with mice getting into the engine compartment. Sure enough, I went to clean up my battery tray, pulled the battery out, and right away I started seeing evidence of mice. Look at that. Now, how many of you, particularly in the colder climates where mice like to get in the cars when it's cold, have seen this type of stuff in your engine compartment? You might say, well, I'm just going to clean this out and hopefully the mice won't come back. But in this video, I want to warn you about some other things that you should check anytime you see this kind of evidence. And then I'm going to tell you a little trick that you can use to help keep mice out of your engine compartment. Now, I'm really suspicious. There's a hole back in here. Goes in behind underneath that false firewall. Sure enough, I'm pulling these hoses back. Now, I'm going to recommend when you're doing this to wear gloves and probably wear a face mask when you're working around this old rat-infested dust. But sure enough, I'm looking back down in there and I'm seeing even more evidence. Now, I'm going to have to get a vacuum here and clean all that out. But I want to talk about one of the problems you'll run into. You need to be very careful that you look for collateral damage. I'm going to call it collateral damage or unseen damage that may have been caused from mice being in your engine compartment. And that's the fact that mice like to eat plastic. Now, you know this is true. You've heard of mice eating through electrical wiring causing house fires. But in cars, anytime you find mice like this in an engine compartment, you want to inspect all these plastic vacuum lines. That seems to be the one they like to eat. Don't ask me why. So I started poking around here, and sure enough, look at that. I pulled this vacuum line up, and look at the holes. You can actually see where they were eating into the vacuum line, and then this red one here is also broken. And look at that. Look at how they're eating right through that. So I've got a challenge of how I'm going to fix these lines, and at the same time, I need to clean all this up. But, you know, one of the things I've found that works pretty well is take these dryer rags. They're things that you put in the dryer to fluff up your clothes. For some reason, mice do not like these. So when I'm all done, I'm going to get some of those dryer rags and shove down in here. The fumes from those apparently repel mice and rats. Once I get this cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and reconnect those two vacuum lines and kind of get this ready to put back together. If you're interested in the procedure for fixing these lines, I do have a free video on my website that goes through the procedure of how to get these fixed. And it's kind of hard when you have limited access like this. Let me show you the ends that I cut off those vacuum hard lines earlier. And look at that. Can you believe those holes and how they almost look symmetrical? I certainly don't know what the mice were after here because these don't look very appetizing to me. Oh boy, this is a great illustration that yes, mice do like to eat plastic. I don't know, certain types of plastic. I know people have had their houses burned down because mice have eaten into the wiring. But I hope you find this video beneficial and pay particular attention to all your vacuum lines around any areas where you've seen mice intrusion into your engine compartment. Something got in there. This is a very nice hole, by the way, for them to get down into and behind the battery. You know, it stays warm down in there once the car shuts down because of the heater core. So I'm going to put a preventative down in there. Now, I like to use Bounce dryer cloths. These have a chemical in them that mice hate. The smell is not obnoxious to us, but it's very obnoxious to them, and it's much better smelling than other chemicals like mothballs or something else you could use. So before I put the battery tray back in, I'm just going to take a few of these cloths here and wad them up, and I'm going to take and put them right down in this hole. Now, I'll probably have to come back in here and change these every 4 to 6 months if I'm worried about mice, although where I'm going to park the car now, I don't think I'll have a mice problem. But because of this issue here, I want to make sure. So use Bounce to help keep mice out of your engine compartment. So anyway, that's the alert for the day. Watch out for what mice can do inside your engine compartment.